Uh, actually, will it happen? Or it's in our society, we're going to create new employment? Just you said, like a building system or programmers, kind of sort of very partial, employment will going to be happen next decade, like especially for IT advancement. But majority of the business will disappear next 5 years. But I don't
Uh,
understand what it means.
no, so you just have to take take a difference, look at the difference between the short-term and the long-term effects of technological progress. So the short-term effects will mean that people will lose their jobs, but in the longer run, these jobs will be substituted by other jobs, by jobs that we cannot imagine yet. Like take for example, if we have developed AI, then it would all of a sudden be feasible to find cures for all kinds of diseases through data analysis. Um, so that will create a lot of new jobs. Because all of a sudden it becomes possible. That means that people will try to endeavor it and try to get into that market of data analysis, um, because we can tackle bigger problems with the technology that we are developing. Therefore, it will create new jobs. Just one example, but there will be more examples like it.
You're hit, you're hitting. Good point. Past several decades, we focus on uh, more productivity enhancement system we invested, like SAP, right?
Mm.
Like improved
Yeah.
supply chain management. But you said data analysis, but recently we much more focus on marketing and uh, analyze to how to get the information near future, what's going to be happening with big data, right?
Mm.
But still, we have remaining uh, huge amount of work. Actually, companies, employees like salespeople, general affairs people, and all people instead of just actually the factory people. Those indirect people are not targeted for the IT software before.
Mm.
So those people, it might be difficult to reduce, except like bankers, salespeople, except for the supermarket salespeople and drivers, and sort of people were going to disappear, but actually indirect people would work still remains, right?
Yeah.
So system,
Yeah.
IT industry, IT technology, software, they do not touch so much.
I mean,
But
it's
I
quite
just he
like.
said increasing more employees needed in banks, it means they're going to give them more added value. This is understandable.
Yeah, there will be, and we will come up with new employees, new roles. For example, um, it's quite likely that we will get external effect officers in companies that need to take care that their environmental footprint will not exceed certain levels. Um, that it's safety, security, engaging with stakeholders. Um, there will be maybe more government workers who are involved with education, income redistribution, healthcare. Those roles become more and more important because they are still uh, underutilized, underdeveloped for human beings' welfare. So these are new kinds of positions, new kinds of jobs that, uh, given the O-ring effect, uh, that the weaker parts will be addressed next. And so at this moment, we are not doing enough. So these jobs will probably create more employment in the future.
Exactly, I agree with your opinion. Because recently I recognize the current new system is much more focused on uh, future prospect and from how they're going to consider for marketing. And they invest much money for like a stock market or like transportation, how much volume is going to be happen. So new information system coming out. So
Right.
beforehand we didn't do that. So now is very much more focused to analyze sort of result with big data, and also we need to consider for how to get big data and also how to utilize the result of the output from those systems, including quantum computers. Will going to be open a new area for new work. This is going to be happen. Like now is now is in the hospital they have advanced technology utilizing X-ray, MIT, and they can using computer and they understand more detail about cancer capability uh, rather than human being. Sort of technology advance, they can do much more work to develop medical treatment. This will going to be happen. So it means what he said, job will going to be increasing. Beforehand, they don't so much spend time for kind of analytical work, but now is they have new opportunity to do that, right? So like a small shop, a small restaurant, now is they can estimate tomorrow's how many customers will come, what kind of food need to provide, what kind of human being workload will go, what time is increased. So they can consider for those issues. Now they can handle for the how to manage their company. So it means they're going to find new job instead of uh, current, unknown situation for tomorrow or next week, and the climate situation or so forth. So I think new things, new items is prevailing now in future. So it means we're going to do something additionally toward uh, kind of new things happen. So it means new work will increase. But the other one, the other, the other one, the other one, the other one, uh, like a driver and shopping salesperson or cashier will disappear. So I'm not sure those new coming work and disappearing work. I don't know if this will going to balance or not. But consider for the past 100 years, now is maybe we're going to find out new human being what we're going to do next 5 to 10 years. Because people always try to looking for new job, right? Even if you don't have job. So this is kind of trend we're going to find out. Might be with creativity, we're going to find new job. What we should do that. This is my
Right.
feeling I have.
So what will be important is actually how well countries and governments, societies work. One of the risks exists if there is no investment in education, if there is no development of institutions, that may be a risk for societies. He gave the example of Saudi Arabia versus Norway, where both countries make money because they are so oil rich. This has led to Norwegian society to come in full bloom, because they created the right institutions. They are taxing their people, and they are investing heavily in their institutions and in their education, which has led to a lot of happiness in that society, versus Saudi Arabia, which is trailing in happiness numbers because they didn't create the right institutions, they didn't create equal opportunities for people. So it's not, we cannot automatically assume that this will be equally the case for people in all countries. We also need to make sure that we are actively contributing to this process. We cannot just leave our hands off and think that everything will be okay. We will need to make investments into our society to make this transition go smoothly. Therefore, it's important that we have democracy, that we have strong institutions, that we have the will to actually guide this process and steer this process in the right direction. That's why it's so important that populism, etc., in response to these developments, do not lead to a narrowing of these efforts and is privileging some people versus the other, but to create a more inclusive, all-encompassing society that is aimed at actually lifting the people, and also reducing the gaps between rich and poor, so that everybody can contribute and be part of it. That will be very important, and that will determine how fast societies can go through this transition.
So his major point is Norway and Saudi Arabia, this big gap is caused by education.
By education, by the way that they have not only education but also the other institutions which are not equally accessible to everyone. Participation in the economy, in the society in Norway is very high. Women, elderly, younger people, men and women, it doesn't make much difference there. So the entire society is involved, whereas in Saudi Arabia, women are almost excluded from the workforce, at least to the leading jobs. Education is not equally accessible, and there's an army of import workers who live close or under the poverty line. This is not a stable economy. That there is very little mobility, and countries like that will be heavily hit by automation. Countries as Norway are much easier, are much more capable of going through a smooth transition, because mobility is much higher. People can move from one job into the other. They have the skills to do it because they have a good education system, and they have the institutes to actually make this transformation much easier, because they will be able to get government support while they're educating themselves. But while they do not have income, they can survive, and they don't need to go out and beg or do jobs that do not contribute to them to their own growth path. So these institutions, if they're not there, they will cause more pain in the transition process.
So egalitarian based upon democracy.
Yes.
So this is different from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. By the way, we want to discuss more about that. Just the entry point we started and after viewing video, but this is almost time is up. So yes. I think next Saturday we want to discuss about more detail about what's going on, or based upon his opinion, right?
Okay.
Are you going to prepare another couple of videos for us?
Yeah, I already have.
Yeah, okay. My concern is new IT technology. What kind of new IT technology we're going on? not superficial discussion about the AI and robotics. What behind the scene? What's going to be happening now or next 5 years? This is my concern. So based upon those kind of information, we can discuss what's going to happen next future will going to happen. Okay.
Okay.
So everybody, thank you very much for joining early morning, and I expect to see you again, and good day. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
everybody, see you again. Bye bye.